Listen now to the book, One Night with the Hybrid King, written by the author Anya Curves. If you want to buy the ebook, link in the description. Subscribe to the channel. Like and share. Chapter 91 Caelum. This completely changes the situation, Your Majesty, Finn declares, surprise evident in his voice. There's also concern, something he tries to mask but fails to hide in every word. I know. That's why I need you to expedite the annulment of my marriage. I need to marry Aria as soon as possible. My children's safety depends on it. I stayed impatiently, making it clear that my tolerance is running thin. My voice reverberates off the walls, echoing like thunder. The counselor's eyes follow me as I pace back and forth, unable to contain the restless energy coursing through me. The anger I feel toward Aria still burns, even though part of me wishes it didn't. The fury grows with every passing second, like a wildfire consuming everything in its path. My fists clench and every muscle in my body tightens. The image of Aria, with that defiant look in her eyes, invades my thoughts. How could she be so stubborn? How dare she challenge me to the point of forbidding me from bringing my children to the castle? Worse, forbidding me from seeing them? I am the king. She has no right. The memory of our last argument is still vivid. The humiliation eats away at me. No one disrespects me like that. No one. Well, Your Majesty, there will be no annulment after this discovery, Liv states, her voice cautious but steady. The heartbeat of every counselor in the room seems to quicken. I stop pacing immediately, turning toward her, my gaze cold and heavy, laced with silent menace. What did you just say, Liv? I ask, each word deliberately slow and ice-cold. Liv hesitates, but only for a moment. She rises slightly in her chair, her posture straight, as if bracing herself for the storm that will inevitably follow. It's just that, Your Majesty. I'm sorry, but these children are illegitimate, she replies. Her voice remains firm, but I catch every flicker of nervousness as she tries to explain the political complications involved. You and the children's mother were together the night before your wedding, correct? I confirm with a slight nod, an almost automatic gesture. Of course. That moment was inevitable, a farewell that felt more like the beginning of something that should never have ended. The memories of that night are a mix of passion and chaos. The feel of Aria's touch, the warmth of her body against mine, the way she looked at me. It all cuts through me like a dagger, stirring a whirlwind of emotions I'd rather ignore. But now, those memories are being weaponized against me. Because of this, there was an act of betrayal, Your Majesty. You didn't uphold your vows. A divorce will be necessary, not an annulment, Liv explains, her voice almost fading with the last words. I raise an eyebrow, letting my disbelief show openly. My blood boils, and my mind wrestles with the cold, bureaucratic logic she dares to present. Every word she speaks feels like an insult to the gravity of what's at stake. Fine, then we'll proceed with a divorce. I snap, my voice sharp, laden with impatience that grows by the second. I just want Seraphina gone. She tried to kill my children. That alone should be enough to strip her of her title as queen. The name Seraphina leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. If what Aria's mother reported is true, if the sin in that cabin really was hers, my instincts scream the truth I already know, but still try to deny. Seraphina is guilty. The weight of that revelation hits me like a blow, and the pain of my blindness only fuels the fire within me. How could I have been so foolish? How did I miss the signs? Her betrayal is a sharp blade, but the threat to my children's safety is what truly ignites my rage. The counselors exchange uneasy glances, and their hesitation only fans my impatience. Your Majesty, a divorce under these circumstances is dangerous for the kingdom, Finn announces, his voice laden with caution. If what you've reported about the Queen's attempt to kidnap and kill your heirs is true, that won't be seen as a bad move. But the real issue lies elsewhere. Their illegitimacy is what makes this situation so dire. Dire. The word echoes in my mind like a funeral bell. My patience, already stretched thin, finally snaps. In one abrupt motion, I grab the nearest empty chair. Its weight is insignificant compared to the strength surging through my body. With a roar of rage, I hurl the chair against the wall. The impact resounds through the chamber like thunder, the sound blending with the terrified silence that follows. Shards of wood scatter across the floor, and the counselors instinctively recoil in their seats. A growl escapes my throat, deep and menacing, vibrating with the promise of violence. My vision blurs with a red haze, my breathing heavy and erratic. I am teetering on the edge, and everyone in the room knows it. Seraphina tried to kill my children, the heirs to the throne, and you're telling me this is something to be applauded? I roar, my voice echoing through the hall. The entire room seems to hold its breath. The sound of my heartbeat pounds in my ears, drowning out any rational thought. You think the blood running through their veins is worth less because I didn't sign a piece of paper first? I continue, my voice lower now, but even more dangerous. If that's what you believe, then you're more blind and useless than I ever imagined. No, Your Majesty, of course not. Helleye quickly retorts, raising her hands in a gesture of appeasement. What Finn meant is that the situation is delicate. The children came before the marriage, and that jeopardizes the alliance between the two kingdoms. If that alliance is broken, war will be inevitable. And our people cannot endure a war right now. There's never a good time for war. I snap back, my impatience flaring. But I will wage one if you don't annul this damn marriage with her. I am the damn king. You wanted heirs? Well, now you have the damn heirs. Make it happen now. That's an order. Yes, Your Majesty. The counselors reply in unison, though their response brings me no satisfaction. I stride toward the head of the table, where I should be seated, but I can't sit still. My gaze sweeps over them, each face etched with tension. I don't trust their ability to resolve this on their own. If they hesitate again, it won't be the table or a chair I'll destroy. They think this is about laws and alliances. It's not. It's about my children, about Seraphina's betrayal, about Aria. If I have to burn everything down to keep them safe, then so be it. You have until sunrise to bring me a solution. I declare, each word is cold as a winter wind. Or I'll bring a solution to you, and it won't be peaceful.
Chapter 92, Alexander. You're already recovering, thanks to the gods. The surgery was a success, and your recovery has surprised everyone, the doctor reports, his tone full of pride and satisfaction. I'm lying on the hospital bed. The room is spacious, with just enough decoration to keep it from feeling completely depressing. I try to focus on the doctor's words as much as I can, but my mind is elsewhere. I need to know about Aria. If she's okay. The doctor's words blend into the persistent buzzing in my ears. I try to listen, but my impatience grows. With every passing second, my heart races, not from tension over my recovery, but from the sheer anxiety building inside me. The moment the doctor finishes his detailed report about my care, a nurse appears at the door. Her presence is a welcome distraction, and when she announces I have a visitor, my breath catches for a moment. The hope that it might be Aria flickers to life, a rare and fragile light. But that spark of hope is extinguished almost immediately. The unmistakable scent of Seraphina reaches me before she does. Moments later, she appears, her face pale and downcast. I sit up in bed as she approaches, my concern growing. Your Majesty, is everything all right? Has something happened? I ask, worried as I take in Seraphina's distressed expression. Seraphina takes a seat in the chair beside my bed. The faint smile she offers doesn't reach her eyes. If anything, it feels forced, as though she's using her last reserves of strength to maintain the facade. Oh, Alexander, I'm so glad to see you're well, recovered and safe. Especially after everything that has happened since your terrible confrontation, Seraphina replies, her voice heavy with sorrow. Her words hit me, but my mind is more preoccupied with the details she's carefully avoiding. What happened, my queen? Is my cousin all right? I ask, my worry intensifying. Seraphina lets out a bitter laugh, a sound that seems to echo off the walls of the empty room. Her eyes shimmer with unshed tears, and something about her expression sets me on edge. Caelum is doing just fine, she finally responds, her voice dripping with sarcasm. He and his precious human, if you must know, threw me out of the palace to make room for Aria and their children. My brow furrows, confusion mixing with disbelief. For a moment, I think I've misheard her. What are you saying, Seraphina? My voice betrays my inability to process the weight of what she's just revealed. She blinks, startled by her own words, as though realizing she said something that was meant to remain buried. Her hand flies to her mouth, and tears finally spill from her eyes. She shakes her head frantically, as if trying to erase what she's just let slip. Oh, darling, forgive me. I should have been more considerate. But I'm still trying to process everything that's happened myself. And what happened, Seraphina? My voice comes out hurried, laced with impatience. Caelum and Aria, they're together. They always have been, as far as I know, she says, her voice heavy with a bitterness that makes my muscles tense. Her children, the ones you believed were yours, are actually my husband's. I mean my ex-husband's. He'll surely request a divorce to marry her. My chest tightens, the air around me feeling suddenly too heavy to breathe. Each word she utters echoes louder inside me, reverberating through my bones, daring me to deny her claims. I came here because I wanted to see you and tell you everything. You deserve to know, Alexander. You deserve to know how much of a traitor your cousin and your human truly are. She leans forward slightly, as if to emphasize the gravity of her words, her golden eyes fixed on me, glowing with an intensity that sets me on edge. I hear her, but my mind refuses to process what she's saying. It's like trying to listen to someone over the roar of a storm. Caelum and Aria? The idea is so absurd that, for a moment, I laugh internally, assuming it's some kind of misunderstanding. But the look on Seraphina's face holds no humor, no trace of a lie. It's a mixture of pain and something darker, a sick satisfaction at planting this seed of doubt within me. That doesn't make sense. How could? I can't even finish a thought, still reeling from the possibility. Seraphina nods, as if sympathizing with my reaction. I didn't believe it either, but it's true. As far as I know, the two of them slept together years ago and have rekindled things now. They betrayed us, Alexander, both of them, Seraphina says, her voice softening. I just came to tell you about this, and now I'm leaving. I'm no longer safe here. Caelum will do anything to put Aria on the throne, even kill me. Her eyes meet mine again, and something in the way she says those words unsettles me. I don't believe Caelum would do such a thing, not the man I've known my entire life. But there's a suggestion in her voice, something that plants doubts where certainty once resided. Goodbye, darling. Good luck with everything. If I were you, I'd hide. Caelum won't allow anyone to threaten his new family, not even you. Who knows? She pauses dramatically, as if savoring her words before releasing them. Perhaps it was him and Aria who planned the attack on your life, just as they're plotting against me. She doesn't give me a chance to respond. Before I can retort, she turns and walks out of the room, leaving behind a trail of floral perfume and a cascade of insinuations threatening to bury me. Unable to remain in the hospital a second longer, I gather my things and request an early discharge. Everything Seraphina told me doesn't make sense, and yet somehow does. All the times Aria tried to speak with me, and I dismissed it as nerves. The way Caelum fought with me at the Queen's birthday celebration. These isolated events begin to align now that I piece them together. The journey to Aria's house passes quickly, but I'm consumed by anxiety and expectation. If it's not true, why would Seraphina lie like this? What's the purpose of such a sudden falsehood? Something happened during the days I was unconscious in the hospital. Something serious. Whatever it is, if the children are truly Caelum's, I don't care. I still want Aria. And if she wants Caelum, then I'll let her go wherever her heart desires. When I arrive at Aria's house, something feels different, strange. I knock on the door several times, but no one answers. Peering through the window, I notice the disarray inside. They're gone. A neighbor suddenly comments from behind me. What do you mean? I ask, surprised. After the children were taken and then recovered, the two of them just left a few days ago and haven't been seen since. Can't blame them, though. Having your home invaded like that would terrify anyone. What the hell is going on? Where's Aria?
Chapter 93, Caelum. The door to my office bursts open, slamming hard against the wall, the sound echoing through the otherwise silent space. On the other side stands Alexander, his eyes blazing with a fury so intense it's almost palpable. His face is severe, every line of his expression taut, as though he's struggling to maintain even a shred of control. It's impossible not to notice the rigidity of his posture and the way his fists are clenched at his sides. He looks like a storm on the verge of unleashing its full force. I'm surprised to see him here so soon. His recovery has been quick, too quick. I can still catch the faint, metallic scent of medication lingering on his skin from his time in the hospital. I can't decide if it's a testament to his determination or just reckless stubbornness. But one thing is clear. He's not here to discuss strategies or the attack that nearly cost him his life a few days ago. No, the energy Alexander exudes now is far more personal, far more charged. He strides toward me with heavy, purposeful steps, like a predator that's finally cornered its prey. I'm seated behind my dark wooden desk, the faint glow of the computer screen partially illuminating my face. I stay where I am, watching him, trying to gauge his intentions, but he doesn't give me the time to contemplate. Is it true? He demands bluntly. I furrow my brow at him, unsure what he's referring to. Then, after a few seconds and noticing a flicker of anguish in his expression, I realize what he's asking. I take a deep breath and nod. With everything that's happened, especially the attack, I had completely overlooked Alexander in this equation. I've been so focused on removing Seraphina from my path to be with Aria that I failed to consider Alexander's feelings, or the fact that he wants to be with her too. How the hell did this happen, Caelum? His voice erupts, laden with frustration and pain. He slams his hand down hard on my desk, the sound reverberating like thunder throughout the office. You didn't think to tell me even once? He has every right to be angry, but my patience has its limits as well. Still, I resist the urge to lose control and respond with a steady voice, refusing to raise my tone. Well, I thought about it, but what good would it have done? At the time, I was still trying to salvage my marriage. I only found out the twins were mine a few days ago. Things have changed now, I state firmly. Change my ass? Alexander snaps back, his voice dripping with venom, his expression radiating disbelief. He runs a hand through his hair, as though trying to keep himself from exploding. I don't give a damn that Thorn and Alone are your kids. I still want to marry Aria. Those words ignite something within me, like a fuse being lit on a powder keg. Rage surges through me, hot and uncontrollable, burning away whatever patience I had left. I shove my chair back as I rise abruptly, the sound of it scraping against the floor cutting through the tense air. My gaze locks onto his, and for a moment, we're face to face. Two forces colliding, neither willing to back down. That's going to be completely impossible, Alexander, I say, each word laced with a possessive edge I can't suppress. My entire body vibrates with the jealousy his words have provoked. My marriage to Seraphina is already in the process of being dissolved. All of this so I can marry Aria and legitimize our children. To secure the heirs this kingdom needs, my words come out as a growl, deep and charged, reverberating through the tense silence of the office. Alexander lets out a harsh laugh, thick with both contempt and disbelief. He spins around in an exaggerated motion, clapping sarcastically. You're a spoiled, pathetic man, he spits, acid dripping from every word, before turning back to face me. His eyes lock onto mine, blazing with a rage that seems to grow with every passing second. You don't even love Aria. Why the hell do you want to marry her? To put on a show for the spotlight? To parade your perfect little family, while keeping your crown intact? He stares me down, his posture defiant, and with every word he speaks, the fire inside me burns hotter. I move around the desk in a swift motion, my jaw clenched and my fists balled at my sides. My entire body feels like it's boiling, fueled by a mix of indignation and frustration he's managed to stoke. My heart pounds in my chest, the rhythm like the beating of a war drum echoing in my head. Of course, I love her. I shoot back, my voice loud and brimming with fury. Every syllable is spat like venom. I'm doing all of this for her, for our family, for our children, Alexander. Alexander shakes his head, a bitter smile curling at the corner of his lips as he does. His gesture, so deliberate, only fans the flames of my anger. No, no, no. He repeats, his tone firm, almost condescending. You're doing this because now you have the heirs you've always wanted. This isn't about love, Caelum. If you truly loved Aria, you would have ended your marriage to Seraphina a long time ago. You would have told me the truth the moment you found out who she was. Better yet, You would have come to me the second I told you about her and what she meant to me. He takes a step closer, his finger pointed at me like an arrow ready to be loosed. His words hit like blow after blow, and each one stokes the heat burning inside me. You're acting like I'm the only one to blame here. I counter, my voice low and heavy with tension. My tone cuts through the air like the crack of a whip. Aria didn't say anything either, did she, Alexander? And as far as I know, she didn't accept your proposal. Did she? My last sentence comes out as a taunt, and I can't resist letting a smug smile curve my lips. Without warning, Alexander lunges, his footsteps echoing across the office floor. Before I can react, his fist connects with my face. The blow is strong and precise, enough to make me stagger back a step, the metallic taste of blood flooding my mouth. My head spins slightly, and my breath turns into a low, guttural growl of anger. You know what? Go ahead, Alexander says, his voice dripping with disdain, his eyes fixed on me as if I were nothing more than an insignificant obstacle in his path. He's breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling as adrenaline courses through him. He takes a step back, just enough to widen the distance, as though preparing for more. Go ahead and propose to Aria and Caelum. Do it. His tone is full of challenge, making my fists clench even tighter. She's gone from the capital. I want to see her, and you know what I found out? She left. She's not here anymore. Maybe she didn't accept my proposal, but let me tell you one thing with absolute certainty. She didn't run away because of me. What he says echoes in my mind, and for a moment, the certainty I carried falters. Aria ran away? My heart pounds even faster, and for the first time in our argument, I feel a flicker of something beyond anger, concern. But I don't let it show. Not in front of him. Not now. She did what? I murmur in shock, and Alexander laughs derisively. That's right, Your Majesty, he says, dragging the title with contempt, making it painfully clear that at this moment, I have neither his respect nor anyone else's. Aria took her mother and the children. Only the gods know where, but I'm certain it's because of you. Good luck trying to find her. Unlike you, Caelum, I know Aria. I know how she thinks, how she acts. And you know what? He pauses, a cruel, defiant smile spreading across his face. I'll find her before you do. He turns his back on me, leaving my office as if he's won a battle that shouldn't even exist. I don't even think about retaliating for the punch he threw at me. My emotions are entirely consumed by the fact that Aria chose to run away, taking my children with her, rather than stay with me. Without thinking, my fist clenches tightly, and I drive it into the concrete wall beside me. The impact is brutal, reverberating through the office, and I feel the material give under my strength. A deep crack forms in the wall, fragments of concrete falling to the floor, a visible reminder of my rage. She'd rather remain a commoner. Is that it? She'd rather raise our children in obscurity, in anonymity, than at my side? At the side of a king? Who does Aria Everhart think she is to do this to me? My mind spins, searching for answers, but it only finds more questions. More doubts. More anger. Each thought feeds the fire inside me, turning my breaths into low, heavy growls. Asher. I bellow into the office from my right-hand man. Within seconds, he appears in the doorway. Yes, Your Majesty? I want you to find out where Aria is. I command, my fury intensifying with each word.
Chapter 94, Aria. 1 month later. The sound of waves crashing against the rocks behind the inn is constant, a calm and rhythmic melody that has become my daily refuge. I adjust the papers scattered across the reception desk, filling the time while no guests are around to book any aquatic activities nearby. The inn is simple, rustic, with white walls weathered by time and wooden furniture that carries the unmistakable scent of sea air. Sunlight streams through the side window, casting dancing shadows on the wooden floor as the ceiling fan turns slowly, as if fatigued. The muffled sound of conversations from a few guests in the common area barely reaches me. I keep my hands busy in a desperate attempt to occupy my mind as well. I sort through reservation forms and brochures for local aquatic activities, tidy the counter for the 3rd time today. Anything to fend off the emptiness that stubbornly tries to take hold of me. Yet even with all this work, the memories always find a way to break through. The days pass quickly, but not quickly enough to erase thoughts of Alexander and Caelum. The longing I feel for Alex seems stronger than when we parted 5 years ago. The fear that he might not have survived haunts me every night. The temptation to get in the car and return to the capital just to find out if he's alive visits me every day. But I must keep my children safe. I'm always on edge, terrified of what Seraphina or Caelum might attempt. She might seek their death, and he might take them away from me, turning them into heirs. There was no relief in discovering they were truly Caelum's. Instead, a wave of disappointment swept through my heart. I had hoped they were Alexander's. The way he was always so kind and paternal with them filled my heart with peace and love. On the other side of the scale, when Caelum found out the truth, he became a beast, obsessive and possessive over what having heirs meant to him. Caelum didn't seem to see Thorn and Aloan for what they truly are, just children. To Seraphina, they were a threat to her throne. To Caelum, they were the salvation of his position as king. My thoughts wander so deeply into past events that I don't notice the presence of a guest at the counter until the soft ring of the bell pulls me back to reality with a start. The man standing before me looks so absurdly like Caelum that my entire body freezes. My heart seems to stop for a moment, my breath slowing and growing heavy as I stare at features that instantly transport me to memories I'm desperately trying to bury. "Hi," he says, breaking the silence as he waves his hand in front of my face, his hoarse voice carrying a hint of amusement, as if he's used to provoking reactions like this from people. His voice isn't like Caelum's, it's rougher, as if he smokes. I shake my head, regaining my professional composure as an attendant. He is the very image of Caelum, almost like a distorted reflection in a mirror where time and circumstances have only altered a few details. The defined jawline, the penetrating green eyes that seem to decipher every thought I have with a single glance. But there are differences. His hair is lighter, sun-kissed from long hours under the sun and salty water, and it's cut short, contrasting with Caelum's longer, wilder strands. He's leaner, his body less robust, though he still holds an impressive height that makes me feel small. "Hi, sorry. My name is Aria, how can I assist you?" I say, slipping into the role of a dedicated employee. "I'd like to reserve a room for the next 3 days, please," he says, interrupting my involuntary analysis. His rough voice has a casual, almost provoking tone. "My name is Drave Frost, Aria." He introduces himself with a slight smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. I go ahead and register him, noticing his gaze fixed on me. The resemblance to Caelum is unnervingly close, and it leaves me uncomfortable. Once I finish the registration, I hand him the room key. Breakfast is served every morning from 8 until 11. "If you need anything, just call down to the desk," I inform him, trying to push the comparisons to Caelum from my mind. "Got it, doll." "Thanks a lot," he replies, his voice thick with an unfamiliar familiarity. He winks at me with a sly smile, and my skin prickles, not pleasantly but in a way that makes me feel uneasy. The return home is calm and quick, just a few blocks away from the inn. I walk along the beach to enjoy the sunset and reflect on my thoughts. The sensation of the sand between my toes is comforting and soothing. Before entering the house, I pause to take in the new place we're settling into. The house is smaller than the previous one, but it's surrounded by a wall that gives me a sense of security after the recent events. As soon as I step through the back door, I catch the delicious smell of dinner and hear the sound of the television with the kids watching. My mother is in the kitchen, and she's the first to notice my arrival. "We'll need to go shopping tomorrow, Aria," she tells me before I can even sit down and have a glass of water. "All right, make the list, and I'll stop by the market before work," I reply, tired. Then my beautiful little angels burst out of the living room with enough energy to power this whole town for almost 2 entire months. They hug me tightly, and I shower them with kisses. "Mommy, do you think Daddy is mad at me?" Thorn suddenly asks. I thought they had completely forgotten about the traumatic event that happened last month, since they never mentioned anything in the first few days and continued playing and acting normal. I run my hand through Thorn's thick blonde hair to comfort him. "No, my angel. I'm sure he's not. Your dad was just thinking about a lot of things, and sometimes he doesn't know how to control what he feels, you understand." I try to explain gently. "Is Daddy coming here to take us away?" Aloan asks, startled, and I shake my head firmly. "Never. No one ever will take you away from me," I say firmly and with certainty in my voice. "Even if I have to keep running forever, Caelum will never take my children from me. Never."
Chapter 95, Caelum. The castle seems to breathe more softly now that Seraphina is no longer here. Her absence is a palpable relief, as if the heavy shadow that once hung over the halls has dissipated, allowing the light to reach places that were once hidden. But the emptiness she left behind also carries its own weight. It's not the comfortable kind of silence. It's a space filled with the echo of her betrayal, the remnants of her dark magic still vibrating in the walls, and, most of all, the uncertainty of her whereabouts. The last clue about Seraphina placed her in the hospital with Alexander, and since then, even the best trackers in Veridiana have been unable to find her. She's slippery, moving like a ghost, using her magical abilities to hide, to disappear when she's most needed. It frustrates me deeply, but it also intrigues me. She's always had a unique talent for manipulating things to her advantage, and as much as I hate to admit it, it's what makes her a dangerous and cunning opponent. I walk through the palace halls, feeling the magic vibrating around me with every step. It's not a new sensation. I've always known the castle is imbued with centuries of enchantments. But now it's different. The distortion that once tainted the air, fueled by Seraphina, is gone. The magic is now purer, more balanced. If I close my eyes, I can almost hear it, a low hum that blends with the sound of the wind outside. My connection to magic was never something I fully embraced. My mother passed down the heritage of an enchantress to me, but I always hesitated to accept it. In my mind, it was easier to focus on the lycan side, the side that would make me king. Now, I wonder if I should have spent more time exploring that gift. Perhaps if I had understood my own magic better, I could have avoided Seraphina's dirty tricks, could have recognized her manipulations before they became uncontrollable. My thoughts inevitably turned to Thorn and Aloan. Will either of them inherit the enchantress side of the bloodline? I hope Thorn will be a full werewolf, as that would make his rise to the throne simpler, more direct. As for Aloan, I want her to have choices. I want her to have the freedom I never had, the freedom to choose her own fate without the weight of a kingdom on her shoulders. Every day, my mind creates plans for the twins. I imagine what it will be like to teach them, guide them, prepare them for the world. Anxiety grows inside me like a hungry beast, and my anger towards Aria only intensifies. She robbed me of these moments. She decided, unilaterally, that I didn't deserve to be a part of our children's lives. Alexander's words, even after a month, still carry weight. She ran from me. Does she hate me that much? My chest tightens, and part of me doesn't want to believe it. Another part, though, knows the answer. She hates me. Maybe not without reason, but that doesn't make the pain any less. Your Majesty. Asher's voice pulls me from my thoughts, echoing down the corridor. I turn to see my right-hand man running toward me, his expression a mix of satisfaction and concern. He stops in front of me, out of breath but determined. In his hand, a small, crumpled envelope. He hands it to me carefully, his eyes shining with a pride that almost makes me smile. "We found her, sire," he announces proudly. The news hits my chest like a blast of cold wind. After weeks of searching, I finally have something concrete. Before I can control the impulse, I pull Asher into a quick embrace, a rare display of emotion. My heart races as I open the envelope, my hands steady, but inside chaos stirs. The paper inside contains an address, written in Asher's neat handwriting. A coastal town far from the capital, but not so far that it's unreachable. The location is clear, and I begin mentally mapping the route there. "There's something important you need to know, Caelum," Asher says, his voice soft, serious. My head immediately lifts, my eyes locking onto his. The seriousness in his expression sends a chill down my spine. Has Seraphina gotten to her first? The thought poisons my mind, eroding my brief calm. "Your half-brother, Caelum," Asher continues, choosing his words carefully. "He was seen where Aria works." For a moment, I can't respond. The news coming from his mouth seems to slow time itself. "Drave? Drave Frost?" I ask, incredulous. What is my brother doing back in my kingdom? Irritation gives way to fury as the reality sinks in. If he's near Aria, this can't be a coincidence. My jaw tightens, and the paper in my hands wrinkles slightly under the force of my fingers. If you like it, subscribe, share, comment, and like. If you want to read the book, link in the description.